let's get started. So I want to do practical stuff. Okay, so I don't want to do theory of major donor fundraising. I don't want to do the 7 steps or the 5 steps or the 3 steps or the no steps or whatever the hell it is at the moment. Okay, so I'm trying to give you something that tomorrow, or if you're not at work tomorrow because you're claiming toil because you're working so hard this evening, Monday, something practical you can go to the office and start doing, really. So as Beth said, I've set up major donor fundraising programs pretty well from scratch. The last 3 charities I've worked at, which are not, they're not big charities, small, medium sized, so anything from kind of a few £100,000 turnover to a few million. Okay, and so this is like therapy for me. This is the stuff I did well and the stuff I didn't do very well, and the learning points from that. So let's get you involved. So who is a major donor fundraiser? Okay, quite a lot. That's good. Okay, so who has major donor fundraising as part of their job? Okay. And the other people, why are you here? No. Okay. So what I want to do to learn how to be. Okay. So we're moving into it. I should have asked that question. Who wants to be? Who wants to be? Okay. So we'll do that. He wants to be. Brilliant. Okay. You've been at the bar since 5, 6. Okay. And I love the idea of walking on with a beer, actually. I've never been able to do that before. And I'm amazing you've all sat down, because there's a bar just there and everyone sat down on time. Okay, so what I wanted to do, if anyone saw my tweet earlier, is I want to debunk 4 myths, okay, about major donor fundraising. That's my plan. And I've got a first fiver, £5 in my pocket, for anyone who can think of anything else you debunk apart from a myth. Okay, so is anybody got £5? A bunk? Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. I was thinking you debunk myths, debunk. It's about, okay, it was you, wasn't it?
That was somebody else's hair. Donate it to charity.
Okay, I'll give it to you. You can donate. That's my first plastic fiver. That's my first plastic fiver. It's gone. That was good. Okay. Yeah. It's £5.30 for a beer, so it's not going to be enough for that. I consider that. Okay, so first myth. Okay, this is one that Beth and myself come up very regularly. Is we don't have any major donors. Okay, I don't think major donor fundraising is for us. We're too small. Who's going to give to us because we're, I don't know, too big, too small, too statutory funded, whatever it is. Okay, this one really gets my goat. Okay, so if you have donors, hands up if you have some donors. Okay, everyone should have their hand up. Okay, you probably have some major donors. Okay, having some major donors is not the same as having a major donor program. It's a really important distinction. Okay, quite often we come up with, oh, we don't really need any advice. We've got some major donors. Thank you very much. And I say, okay, so when did they give to you? Oh, we had somebody gave us £5,000 3 years ago, and somebody gave us £10,000, 10 years ago. So we look after them, and that's fine. Thank you very much. That's not having a major donor program. That's not trying to get yourself major donor ready. Okay, so it's a fact for you. Get rid of that. So between 1 and 5% of your donors have the potential to be major donors. Okay, so everyone do a quick calculation. You may not know this, but off the top of your head, but have a think about how many supporters, donors you have. All right, 1% of those, between 1 and 5, could give you a large gift. All right, so I'm going to give you an example because this one really drives me mad. Okay, we're just starting work with a charity in London. They have 200 donors. That's it. 200 donors, and yet they've asked us to set up a major donor program for them because they're sharp enough to know that between 1 and 5% of their 200 donors could give them a large gift. So it's worth spending a bit of time with us to find out how to do that better. Okay, so 1% for them, that's a couple of people. 5% is 10 people, and that's probably about right. They know 2, but they think they can get 10 major donors who can give them £10,000 each. Okay, that's quite a sum of money for a small charity. Okay, forward-thinking charity, love them. On the opposite side, spoke to a charity a couple of weeks ago, which is a hospice. Let's not stereotype hospices and say they're living in the dark ages, but hospices are living in the dark ages. Okay? They have 20,000 donors. They're 40 years old. And they said, no, we don't have any major donors. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have any major donors? No, I don't think that's for us. That's not the kind of type of donors who support us. Right, okay, so you've got 20,000 people. Okay, so do the same sum. 1% is 200. 5%, they've got 1,000 potential major donors doing absolutely nothing with them. So what do you do with your donors? Oh, we send them newsletters and we send them appeals twice a year. Oh my God. Okay, that's brilliant. You wonder why you haven't got any major donors, you know? Okay, so analogy reminds me of when my 2 kids can't find their school uniform. Okay, so some of you may experience this. And they go, Daddy, I can't find my skirt. I can't find my shirt. I can't find my school tie. And you just go, well, have you looked? Have you actually looked? No. Okay, so I had this experience at this hospice, and I said, well, have you explored? Have you pulled out names from your database? Have you looked out for Coots checks, CAF checks? Have you exported everyone who's given you a first donation of over £500? No. Okay. Well, you haven't bloody looked then, have you? Okay. Right. You don't know if you have major donors. Okay. So practical stuff. Okay. So for each of the myths that we're going to debunk, all right, I'm going to give you some practical tips. So practical tips for myth number 1, don't have any major donors, is do a filter. Extract your data. 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, get the data out, do a simple spreadsheet, and some of you may have done this already, pull out anyone who's given a Coots check. Okay, Coots, we know. Coots check is a private bank. Okay, it's just down by Waterloo. You have to have £500,000 of spare cash burning a hole in your pocket to have a Coots bank account. So the Queen banks with Coots. So it's a other private bank, Lloyd's private banking. Okay, you should, if you can, get a report from your database, and it might take some trawling through, and someone might have to do some real earthy admin here to find the private banking checks, CAF checks. Okay, so if somebody's given you a CAF check, even if it's for 50 quid, okay, they have lots of money. They have lots of money and they're philanthropic. All right, so if you haven't done that, you should do that. First donations. If somebody gives you £200, £300, whatever relevant to you, as a first donation, they're a potential major donor. Okay, just think about it. Somebody just gives you 500 quid. They've got a fair bit of money. That's their first gift. Okay? If somebody gives you multiple donations, and these people often slip under the radar, because even if you're flagging large donations, you're not necessarily flagging cumulative donations. So if somebody's given you £100 a month, standing order direct debit, okay, they're giving you £1,200 a year. Potential major donor. Okay? The most likely major donors you have are people who are already giving to you. And it's the first thing you should do. Start in your own backyard, start at home, do this, okay? Pull out the data. If you need to wealth screen, okay, it can be expensive, but you can get relatively cheap wealth screening. If you've got over 500 or 1,000 donors, you can send them off to third-party agencies, and they will come back and tell you how many millionaires you've got. You will be amazed how many you've got. And if you've got 50 millionaires on your database, then you can go back and go, right, for £10 per person, you can find out name, address, who they give to, whether they're connected to charitable trusts, all of that sort of stuff. There's also a ton of free research, and I'm going to stick a blog on our website tomorrow. Tons and tons of free places to get research on your donors. So if you do that kind of exercise, extract the data, pull out the top 100, okay, and give the job to somebody. Give the job to somebody. Here's 10 websites. Your job for the next 3 days is to go through these websites and find out more about these people. If you don't do that, please don't say you don't have any major donors, okay? The other thing I was going to say is that's kind of retrospective of people who've given to you in the past. All right? But what do you do about people to make sure you don't miss opportunities for new people? So this is what I call flagging and thanking. Okay, which sounds like something out of 50 Shades of Grey, but it isn't. Okay, it's about making sure you don't miss opportunities when new donors pop up. So the simple thing is, write a list of flags. So that is the Coots check, the private banking, the first donation of £250, someone who's given you over £1,000 in a calendar year. Whatever it is, set those parameters and go and speak to your donations processing admin team, database team, whoever opens the post, whoever records the checks, whoever puts them on the system. You need to go and talk to them and say, I want to know if any of these things come in. Okay? You know the people that you need to talk to. You know, they're the really grumpy people in finance who leave at 10 seconds past 5 o'clock. Okay? Go and make friends with them. Okay? Go and talk to them and say, I need this information. So the second part of that is the thanking. So flagging and thanking. So thanking, when you get those donations, what do you do with them? Okay? So do you just send them a standard thank you letter? Do you ring them up? All right? That's where you have to do some serious bit of quick research. All right? So use these free websites that will be on blogs and you can find them all over the place. Somebody's job needs to be, whether it's donations team, whether it's you, and just go, right, somebody's just given us 500 quid, or they've bought Christmas cards for £12 with a Coots chain, whatever it is, okay, do the bit of research quickly, only take 20 minutes, and then decide who's the best person to thank. It might be a standard letter, it might be you, it might be a chief exec, you might have to get a letter and put it in front of the chief exec and say, you can do this, you can do this, you can write your name in that gap there, okay, and it might say, I'd love to meet you. Okay, it might be a phone call to just say, well, thanks for the donation, brilliant. All right, we don't get many donations of £200 or £500, just wanted to know why. Okay, just curious, you just wanted to say a proper thank you. All right, you need the starting point. Okay, I think I've done myth number 1, okay, is that a little bit debunked? Debunked? Yes, okay. So, myth number 2 that we're going to debunk. Okay, and this one is a bit more about internal culture, right? So this one is about, it's the major donor fundraiser's job to do all the major donor fundraising, okay? So those of you at the start who said, I'm the major donor fundraiser, how many of you feel like it's just up to you? 1, okay. All right, the thing about major donor fundraising, it's a team effort. All right, it's a massive team effort. Your organisation needs to be behind it, or you're onto a massive hiding to nothing. Okay, I've been there, and I've been with chief execs who've gone from, well, you're the major donor fundraiser, you go and do it. What do you think? You know, I'm the chief exec, you go and do the job. Come back to me when you've got 10 people who've given you 50 grand checks, and we'll talk about it. Off you go. Okay. And then, when that doesn't work, surprisingly, you know, a couple of years later, it's like, oh, for God's sake, give me all the names of those major donors, I'll do it. And of course they don't, because they're busy people. All right, so it's a team effort. All right, your organisation needs to be on side. And this is where you need to be proactive. All right, it's too often easy to go, well, my chief exec's not interested, my head of nursing, my head of services, program director, whatever it is, they're just not interested in fundraising, so it's not going to happen. All right. Well, it's not in their interests to make it happen. It's in your interests. Okay. And Clayton and Burnett, they did a great. You can look it up. Habits of effective fundraisers. The great fundraisers, going from good to great. That's what it's called. Okay. Number 1 habit: be proactive. Okay. There's no point going, my chief exec's not interested, or I can't get the head of nursing to ring, or whatever, to ring a donor or to meet a donor. You've got to make that happen. You have to go and make time with those people. If you're the major donor fundraiser, or it's in your job description, or you're looking to move into it, you need to start thinking now, who are the people in the organisation who are going to give me the tools to do the job? Okay, so you need to spend time with them. You need to ask the chief exec and say, look, I've got 20 names of donors that I've researched, and I want to talk to you about, will you take them on? Okay, your job as a major donor fundraiser is not always just to make the ask and look after all of those donors. It's to coordinate. Okay, you're the facilitator for the lead people in your organisation to do that asking and rapport. Okay, so to test that, I'm going to ask a question. Right, so let me think. Imagine you're a potential major donor. So you've got £500,000 burning a hole in your pocket. All right? So everyone feel that big wad of cash. Okay, you want to give £50,000 to a charity. All right? Well, you probably would if you had £500,000 burning your pocket. All right? So let me think. Actually, second question. Who would you want to meet? Who would you want to meet if you had £50,000 to give to a charity? Anyone? Chair and Chief Exec, yeah. Beneficiaries? Program spots. Okay, done. Did anyone say fundraiser? No. Okay. I must have asked that question 100 times in different places. No one has ever yet said fundraiser. Okay, so if you are a potential wealthy donor, you don't want to meet the fundraiser. Okay, the fundraiser is in the way. All right? You're a donor, you want to reach the beneficiaries. If you know, as much as they say they don't want to, they want to look the beneficiary in the eyes and say, I want to help you, I'm going to give you some money, what's it going to do? Okay? So next question then. What would you want to know from the charity? You're going to give them impact, yeah. What's it going to do? What's it going to do? Okay? So you need to have these answers. You need to immerse yourselves in the organisation enough that when you get difficult questions, you've got the answers. You need to know what the impact is. That's why you need programs or whoever it is on side. That's why you need the chief exec on side. That's why you need the chair on side. Your job is to facilitate and coordinate all of that and make sure it all happens. It isn't necessarily to be everything to all donors. You will have some donors that love you. Brilliant. The rest of the donors, you have to handpick who's the best person for the job. Okay. So, myth number 3. Okay, I'm going to say debunk just because I like saying the word debunk. So, myth number 3 that we're going to debunk is that you don't have to make the ask. You know, I don't know where this one has come from, this idea that I think it's probably come from the 7 steps sort of thing that everyone's gone, well, if you love your donors enough, you're not going to have to ask them. Well, of course you're going to have to ask them. I really don't know where that one's come from. Okay? So, making the ask. And quite often people say, well, I don't know what to ask them. Or I don't know when's the right time. You know, I don't know who it should be. Well, the answer to that is not kind of is helpful, but it's obvious. Well, it's got to be the right person. You know, put yourself in the shoes of the donor. It's got to be the right person. It's got to be the right time. It's got to be the right place. It's got to be the right amount. It's got to be the right project. So you need to do this groundwork. You need to build the rapport with these donors, and you need to have that discovery time. It's where you know what they're interested in, and you're meeting their needs. All this talk about being donor-centric, okay? And I always use this analogy, which is a bit embarrassing, when people say, well, when should I ask them for an amount? When should I make that big ask? And the answer for me, I've been musing on this quite a lot, is when it doesn't feel weird. Really, you know, if you think about, and Beth wrote a blog on our website recently about it's like dating. Okay, you wouldn't go in on a first date and ask someone, well, you might. And let's face it, we've all had a go. But you probably wouldn't say, oh, you know, will you marry me, or how about a shag? You know, you would probably not on a first date. And the embarrassing reality is, it's probably getting too personal. Is my wife keeps reminding me about a situation where we had a dinner party, and not because we're posh. We didn't have a dinner party because we're posh. We have dinner parties because we have children. Okay. And as anyone with children knows, you know, you can't go out, you know, so you get drunk at home with friends. So we had a dinner party, and good friends of ours came round, and the female of the two, she looked amazing, okay, and And I meant to say, "You look amazing," when they arrived, and for some reason I didn't, and I probably just went and and then, as you do, I got hideously drunk. So about 2 a.m, this was still going round in my head, and about 2 a.m, and I just had this voice going, "If you say it now, it's going to be really weird." And I just leaned across my wife and her husband, and I just went, "You look amazing." Right? And it just went quiet. And then everyone just carried on like it hadn't happened. And I woke up in the morning, and you wake up with horrible flashbacks. And I woke up, and I just thought, and I looked at my wife, and she went, and I said, "That was a little bit weird, wasn't it?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, and I said, "Oh, I had a little voice in my head saying it might be a bit weird to say that now." And she said, "Whenever you have that little voice again in your head, listen to it." Okay, so that's my kind of weird analogy, all right? So that's that one. So myth number 4. Okay, and this one's a bit of a personal favourite, partly because of where I've just worked, which I'm not going to name, but it wouldn't be hard to find out. And this is that events are a brilliant way to get money from major donors. Okay, this one absolutely drives me mad. Events are a lazy way to get money from major donors, okay? Black tie dinners and all this kind of gala things, we don't know. We've got a list and we don't really know what to do with it. So how about we just have a black tie do and invite them all? Right, okay. Well, if you've categorized your donors into A, B, C, the real big hitters, people you think have got pretty good wealth, and then a C list, okay, you'll be lucky to get a C list. Okay, they're not going to come to a black tie do. Your A list get invited to stuff all the time. Right? They are just not going to come. All right, events are a tool, they're a mechanism. And people get very excited because they've made 20 grand or 25 grand at an event or a dinner or something like that. Brilliant, okay? But you've probably spent 6 months of staff time making it happen. You've probably actually made nothing. Okay, that's the harsh reality of it. Events are there as a PR exercise. Events are there to get you in front of your donors. All right, they're cultivation activities. They're an opportunity to invite people just because you want to then take that relationship on. Okay, so if you want to do major donor fundraising, please don't have fundraising events and just think about cash on the night. Okay, we've got 10 of our donors there and they all bid in the auction and somebody gave £1,000. Well, how much did they engage further with your organisation at that? Okay, they were probably hammered. They probably spent £1,000 on backstage X Factor tickets for their kids or something like that, and you're every 6 months, I've got £1,000. Okay, if you're going to do events, think about targeting the right events for the right people. Who are your A-list? How are they actually getting engaged? Some of the best stuff, if you really want to think about engaging someone in your cause, all right, get a speaker, all right, have a small event, not even as big as this. 30 people, all right, you've got to make people feel special. 30 people come along, you have your head of programs or policy or nursing, whatever it is, give a talk, chief exec say things, and just say, you're the special group, we want to make you special, we want to engage you more, and we're going to follow up. And make sure you research the people first. Okay, even if they're bringing a guest, make sure you know who that guest is. There's so much waste at events where people float around and then they go home. And it's like, oh, did you speak to somebody? Did you? Oh, yeah, somebody. Okay, proper research about the people coming. If you need some way to record the details of people, have a raffle or whatever it is, or we want to follow up. Make sure you get everyone's details. If you can, research in advance. Research these people in advance and make sure you allocate the right people to talk to them. And ring people up beforehand. If you're having a proper major donor event, a small event, ring those people up and say, I'm going to be there. I want to make sure we have a chat. Okay? You can make 20, 50, £100,000 on the major donor program after that. Far more than you can make 20 grand with a black tie dinner that everyone's sick of. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to finish that. I don't know how long I've been talking. Any idea? Okay, all right. So, I'm going to finish just with a few tips. All right. So, what I'm going to do, no one's been taking notes, which is good. I'm going to put the kind of key tips and habits and things I think you should be doing on a blog tomorrow. I'll put that on our website tomorrow. So just go and have a look. All of the kind of tips and more than, because I've missed out half of it because I don't want to wave a bit of paper around. Okay, loads and loads of practical stuff I'm going to put on our website tomorrow. So a few things that I'm just going to round up with. Okay, all of the stuff I've said doesn't cost you anything. Okay, it's all practical, easy stuff. You can start tomorrow, Monday. All right, the only thing that might cost you money is some wealth screening. But if you've got enough donors to warrant a wealth screen, you should be doing it anyway. Start at home. Absolutely look extremely hard. Okay, like I keep saying to my kids, look in the wash basket, look behind the sofa, you know, where did you last leave it? It's probably at school. Okay, look extremely hard at your donor base before you make an assessment of we need some new major donors, because they're probably there. The boring bit is processes and all that sort of stuff. The stuff I talked about, flagging. Okay, if you haven't got a system to flag prospective new major donors, you're going to run out of the people who supported you at that level very, very quickly. You need to keep an eye out properly to make sure you're flagging up new people. It doesn't cost anything. Immerse yourself in the organisation. Make sure you're spending time with the key people. All right, you have to be proactive. It's not in their interests. You're the one with the fundraising target over your head. Make sure you get in there. Ask to go to the SMT meetings. Ask to go and sit in the board meeting. You know, ask to go to the programs teams meetings. I just want to sit here and listen because donors are going to ask me difficult questions and I need the answers. Right? Get yourself out there. You need to know what the impact donations are. Oh, another thing I didn't touch on is practice. Okay, so this comes under whose job it is to ask for money. All right, we quite often talk to people and they do a bit of practice about making that ask because everyone's scared of it and everyone is scared of stuffing up and getting a no. But you know, if somebody has come with you on a journey and you're getting to the point you think of asking for the money, they're not going to be horrible. You know, they might go, well, not at the moment, or that's not really what I'm interested in. Well, what are you scared of? Okay, they're not going to tell you to bugger off. Okay, you've been talking to them very nicely and they've been talking to you very nicely for a year or 18 months. Okay, they're going to be nice to you. But the thing that people don't practice is the rapport side of things. Okay, so that journey towards the ask, that phone call. All right, and this one really, you know, I can't believe how little people do it. So if you're about to ring a donor, all right, before ringing them, practice. Talk to the person next to you, okay? They're your friends, they're your colleagues. Say, look, I've got to ring this donor. I want to run through this conversation with you. I've got a few bullet points. Make it difficult for me, okay? Do a bit of role play, okay? Ask me some difficult questions because I need to prepare, okay? You wouldn't get in a car having not practiced and say, you know what, I'm just going to have a bit of a drive and see what happens. You know, chances are it's going to be a car crash, all right? So people might practice the ask a bit, but they don't practice all the stuff about building rapport with donors, right? Just do it. Do it as part of a team meeting. Do it with some friends. Do it at home, whatever you need to do. I'm going to call these donors. I've got a meeting with a donor. Just practice, all right? Have a go at it. Okay, events. I've made the point on that. And yeah, just to finish, okay, there is loads and loads of free stuff around, okay? You know, if you need support, there are consultancies, we do stuff, okay? There's other people, there's a lot of free blogs, okay? We're blogging a lot, but there's a lot of people who blog a hell of a lot more than us about major donor fundraising. Loads and loads of free resources, loads of practical stuff, okay? Everybody here can have a good major donor program, okay? Doesn't matter how small you are, medium-sized, massive. If there are barriers to major donor program happening really well in your organization, it's your job to overcome them, okay? Don't expect anyone else to do it. Be proactive and make it happen. Okay, thank you very much.